You have felt it. Some cities feel electric the moment you arrive. Others feel like something's missing, even if they're full of people. It's not just a vibe, but design. And here's why some cities feel alive while others feel empty. Let's start with the ones that pulse with life, the places where you can almost hear the heartbeat of the streets. Because when a city feels alive, it's not by accident. It's the result of 1,000 tiny decisions about streets, buildings, sidewalks, and how people move through them. It's the smell of food from an open window, the sounds of footsteps echoing down a narrow street, the sight of strangers crossing paths, smiling, brushing past each other. So, what makes a city feel alive? It starts where life actually happens, the street. Cities aren't alive from the air. They come alive at street level. That's where the action is, where design meets daily life. Street level activity is what turns a city from a collection of buildings into a living organism. When you walk down a street in New York, Barcelona, or Seoul, you see interaction. You see cafes spilling onto sidewalks, bikes weaving through traffic, street musicians playing to passing crowds. You hear laughter, languages, music, the hum of movement. The more people are out, the more others want to be out. It's a feedback loop of human presence. In New York, this is almost a religion. The city never really sleeps because the streets themselves are the city's living room. You can grab a slice of pizza at 2 a.m., walk past a deli where someone's chatting up the clerk, and then turn a corner into a jazz bar still open. Every block feels like a small village of micro stories unfolding in real time. That's what gives New York its unmistakable rhythm, the sense that something is always happening, right outside your door. Barcelona hums to a different tempo, but it's just as alive. Here, life moves slower but never still. The streets are designed not for cars, but for people. Wide sidewalks, shaded by trees, lead to plazas where children play and couples sip wine. You can walk for hours through the Eixample district and feel connected the entire time. Buildings are designed with ground floor shops and balconies above, so the city breathes vertically with commerce below and community above. And every evening, people emerge. They stroll, they sit, they walk. It's the famous pasejada, the ritual evening walk that turns the city into a theater of everyday life. Then there's Seoul, a city that thrives 24/7. It's dense, bright, and endlessly layered. You can step out of a subway at midnight and find street vendors still cooking, students still studying, friends still talking over soju and fried chicken. Seoul's energy comes from its mix of modernity and tradition, with gleaming towers sitting next to centuries-old palaces, alleyways filled with neon and steam. The sidewalks are alive not just because they're busy, but because they're designed for people to stay. Public benches, convenience stores open all night, and tiny restaurants packed shoulder to shoulder. They all create that feeling of shared experience. Alive cities share this one thing in common: they make room for people to exist in public. But there's another key ingredient: density. Now, a lot of people hear that word and think of overcrowding, but in great cities, density isn't about being crammed in, it's about being close enough for life to connect. Density done right means you can walk to a cafe, meet a friend, buy groceries, and get home, all within a few blocks. It means you run into people by accident, you bump into stories you didn't expect. New York is dense vertically. Its skyline is stacked, but the magic happens below. Every skyscraper pours people into the same few streets, creating a constant flow of encounters. There's no barrier between residents, tourists, workers, but they all share the same physical rhythm. It's chaotic, sure, but it's also deeply human. That friction, that bumping into others, that's what keeps the city alive. Barcelona, on the other hand, does density horizontally. Its famous grid, designed by Ildefons Cerda, creates wide, even blocks with chamfered corners, letting light and air move freely. But those same blocks pack in shops, homes, schools, and restaurants, all within walking distance. The density here doesn't suffocate, it supports life. You can walk from one plaza to another and feel the city is gently breathing around you. In Seoul, density takes on a modern twist. High-rise apartment towers rise in clusters, but they're stitched together with small alleys, markets, and neighborhood hubs. You'll find a 40-story building right next to a tiny tteokbokki stall run by an elderly couple. The layers of old and new, high and low, create a kind of living collage, the feeling that the city's still growing, still figuring it out. When density works, it gives people choices. It gives the city its heartbeat. The next ingredient is what urban planners call mixed-use zoning. Don't let the jargon fool you, but it's simple. The best cities don't separate where you live, work, and play. They mix it all together. When cities keep those things close with homes above shops, offices next to parks, cafes beside libraries, but the streets stay alive from morning to midnight, there's always a reason to be out. In New York, this is second nature. You might live above a bakery, grab coffee downstairs, and take the subway to work, all within the same block. It's the opposite of zoning laws that keep neighborhoods pure for one purpose. The beauty of New York is the idea that a laundromat, a barbershop, and a late-night comedy club can all share the same block. Barcelona perfects this mix with elegance. Most apartment buildings sit above small businesses like tapas bars, boutiques, and bookstores. You don't have to drive across town for groceries or meet friends miles away. Life happens just outside your door. The city's rhythm exists because everything's within reach. And Seoul? It's a masterclass in vertical mixed use. The same building might hold a family apartment, a law office, a karaoke bar, and a 24-hour convenience store. There's a sense that life doesn't have to pause just because the workday ends. This mixed-use design creates constant motion with people moving in and out, day and night. That movement is the lifeblood of an urban ecosystem. Without it, streets go silent. With it, they hum. But it's not just about physical design. Culture plays a role in how people use the city, and how the city invites them to do so. In Barcelona, the city's social rhythm is its secret weapon. It's not just where people go, but how they go. Families gather in plazas for hours. Strangers share tables at outdoor cafes. Evenings stretch long into the night because the streets belong to everyone. The architecture doesn't just make that possible, but it encourages it. In New York, the culture is motion. The city never stops, and that's part of its charm. People are always heading somewhere, but the density and diversity mean you're constantly surrounded by life. A saxophone player in the subway, a food truck on every corner, the energy of 10 million small ambitions colliding at once. It's messy, loud, beautiful, and unmistakably alive. And Seoul has perfected the art of the social city. It's one of the few places where 3 a.m. feels just as alive as 3 p.m. You'll see groups eating together under heat lamps, couples walking through parks long after midnight, office workers unwinding at late-night cafes. There's a sense that the city isn't just a backdrop, but it's part of the experience of being human. What connects all of these places is a sense of belonging, even for strangers. They're designed at a human scale. You feel safe, seen, and part of something. That's what makes a city alive. So what's really happening here? Why do these cities feel so different from the ones that feel empty or cold? Because they have mastered the art of street-level life. They're dense but breathable, chaotic but connected. They mix work, play, and living into a single rhythm. They give people places to bump into each other, linger, share space. A city that feels alive is one where design disappears into daily life, where the architecture, the streets, and the people all seem to move to the same invisible beat. And that's the secret. It's human design done right. Meanwhile, some cities are built for function, not for feeling. Let's look at what happens when design forgets the human heartbeat. Take Dubai, for example. It's a city that looks like it was designed by the gods of ambition. But walk its streets and you start to notice the gaps. Skyscrapers stretch for miles, but between them lie massive highways, empty sidewalks, and walled-off compounds. The scale is too enormous. You can't just walk to the grocery store or bump into a friend on the street. Every moment requires a car, a plan, and air conditioning. The result is the public realm barely exists. Life happens indoors, in malls, hotels, or behind gates. Dubai's streets are corridors of traffic, not corridors of connection. There are pockets that try to bring life back in places like City Walk, downtown Dubai, or Jumeirah Beach Residence. They have cafes, pedestrian promenades, and people strolling. But even there, it can feel curated, like an Instagram set built for an audience, not a neighborhood built for living. Everything is new, beautiful, and a little too controlled. Dubai isn't empty because it lacks people. It's empty because it lacks serendipity. You don't stumble upon a street musician or an old corner cafe. You don't hear the buzz of conversation from an open window. Every experience is pre-packaged, every interaction planned. The spontaneity has been engineered out of existence. It's a city built to impress the sky, not the sidewalk. Now travel across the world to Brasilia, Brazil's purpose-built capital. While Dubai is the city of spectacle, Brasilia is the city of order. It was designed in the 50s as a utopian dream with a city for the future. Shaped like an airplane from above, every curve and axis symbolically perfect. The architect, Oscar Niemeyer, and planner, Lucio Costa, imagined a place that would break free from chaos, and they succeeded, maybe too well. From a plane, Brasilia is symmetrical, disciplined, and monumental, but on the ground, it's strangely quiet. The roads are wide, the buildings stand apart, and everything is spaced out for cars, not people. The city's grand avenues and government plazas look like stages waiting for an audience that never came. Walking in Brasilia can feel surreal. You can go blocks without seeing another pedestrian. Stores and cafes are hidden behind vast parking lots or inside sterile commercial zones. The zoning laws separate everything, and there's no corner store, no grab a coffee on your way. Instead, there are the hotel sector, the banking sector, and the residential sector. Logical, yes, but human life isn't logical. It's messy, unpredictable, beautifully chaotic. Brasilia, for all its beauty, forgot that. It's a city designed for efficiency, not intimacy. A place meant to be admired, not lived in. When you stand in its open spaces, you feel small, not in the poetic way that Paris or Tokyo can make you feel small, but in a distant, disconnected way. Brasilia's beauty is monumental but cold, like walking through a sculpture park where you're not sure if you belong. The irony is that Brasilia was built on a symbol of national unity, yet its design isolates. It's hard to feel connected when every part of life is separated by asphalt. Then there are the American suburbs, the places that were supposed to be the antidote to city chaos, and in many ways they are. But there's a reason why, for some people, the suburbs can feel eerily empty, even when they're full of homes. The problem is what's missing between them. In most suburbs, the only way to get anywhere is by car. The grocery store, school, the park, everything is just far enough away to discourage walking. Streets are wide, but sidewalks are narrow or non-existent. The front yard becomes a buffer, not a gathering place. What you get are neighborhoods without neighbors. People live side by side for years but barely cross paths outside of scheduled moments in the school run, the driveway wave, the mailbox hello. There's no cafe on the corner, no plaza where life spills into the open, just private space, separated by fences and freeways. The irony is that suburbs were designed for families, for communities, but their very design makes genuine public life harder to sustain. It's not that people in suburbs are antisocial, it's that the environment discourages social contact. A lack of spontaneous encounters means fewer friendships, fewer shared spaces, fewer chances to feel part of something bigger. Mental health researchers have even linked this kind of spatial isolation to higher rates of loneliness and disconnection. When the only public space is a strip mall or a parking lot, the soul of the city fades away. So what connects these empty cities? They're all designed for efficiency, control, and comfort, but not for contact. They prioritize vehicles over pedestrians, privacy over participation, perfection over personality. Their spaces are beautiful, but too large, too spread out, too specialized. There's no friction, no density, no overlap of life. You don't have that messy, unpredictable tangle of interactions that makes a city feel like it's breathing. Because real human life doesn't happen in isolated boxes. It happens in the in-between spaces, the park bench, the bus stop, the corner store, the alley with the food stall. Alive cities are designed around those moments, but empty ones erase them. Now let's put them side by side. In New York, you walk out of your apartment and the city greets you instantly. You hear laughter from a bar, someone playing guitar in the subway, kids running past a bodega. Every corner holds a surprise. In Dubai, you leave your high-rise, step into an air-conditioned lobby, take an elevator to a garage, and drive to a mall. You see people, yes, but the city itself is just background noise. Life is hidden indoors. In Barcelona, the plazas invite you to sit, stay, and walk. In Brasilia, the plazas impress you, but you pass through them quickly because they aren't made for staying. In Seoul, you might leave your apartment at midnight and find an entire ecosystem still awake in food stalls, karaoke bars, late-night walkers. In the suburbs, by midnight, the streets are silent. Life has retreated behind doors. Both kinds of cities work. Both can feel safe, functional, even beautiful, but only one kind makes you feel something deeper. The truth that you are part of a living organism, not just a resident in a collection of buildings. But emptiness doesn't have to be permanent. Cities can come alive again. Around the world, planners and citizens are starting to rediscover the power of street life. In Dubai, new districts like Al Sirkal Avenue and Box Park are experimenting with smaller-scale human-centered spaces. They're trying to bring people back to the streets with art galleries beside cafes, shaded courtyards, walkable paths. The energy isn't quite organic yet, but the intention is there. In Brasilia, urban activists have begun creating pop-up markets and outdoor events to fill the voids. Farmers markets, music festivals, and food trucks are reclaiming these empty plazas. Slowly, the human scale is returning. And in the American suburbs, something interesting is happening. Micro-urbanism. Town centers are being redesigned to include walkable streets, mixed-use zoning, and public squares. People want to live closer together again socially. The pandemic accelerated that desire. For a moment, streets became living rooms. Cities that closed roads to cars and opened them up to pedestrians saw something miraculous happen after people came back. Restaurants spilled into the open, children played on closed-off streets, neighbors walked again. It proved a simple truth: when you give people space to connect, they will. Because in the end, a living city isn't measured by how it looks from the sky, but how it feels at eye level, where strangers cross paths, stories collide, and life happens between the buildings.